Hey everyone, this is Wallaby Wallaby. Today I'll be showing a preview of the Genos hero class, which will be coming out November 21st. Is this class worth buying? I'll give my thoughts on what I like and don't like about this class, so you know what to expect when it's released. You can only get the Genos class during the One Punch Man collaboration event. This is a limited event, so you will not always have access to this class in the future. Unlike Saitama, which you can get after 300 BCC worth of rolls, you must top up $45 to get Genos. A $45 top up means you pretty much need to get the Big Cat Coin large, or you can get multiple quantities of these small and medium ones if you'd like. With this price tag, I'll analyze this class and then provide my recommendations on whether this class is worth it or not. For the skills, thanks to Team Leaks for the translations, I'll provide a link to their doc in the description. Genos is a hero class, so there's a dozen skills to look at. There are far less skills than a traditional class. First is the core passive skill, Demon Cyborg. For hero classes, leveling this up requires second line runes, which has a 6% probability to get. As a result, these classes can be rune killers. However, unlike other hero classes like Saitama and Thanatos, the higher levels don't add damage. Instead, it lets you cheat death with Remodel. At max level, if you can survive 7 seconds without dying from 9 hits, then you'll come back to life. This is kind of an anti-death mechanic, although I would still prefer anti-death more than this since it's very conditional. Here I show that I died, and remodeling shows the gear above my head. Then the blocks near my name show how many times I can get hit before I die for real. 7 seconds later, I come back to life. Even if you don't max this, I don't think this is a deal breaker. Often you'll get hit 9 times easily, so you won't survive anyways. Especially if there's lots of AoE around from multiple enemies. Next is the skill Incinerate. The great thing about this skill is that magic attack, strength, and vitality are all used for this damage calculation. This allows for great scaling. The funny thing is that strength is required for a magic class. Unfortunately, this is locked to fire elements only, so it can be a bummer when dealing with water monsters. This is great versus low board MVPs. Here I take out a Dumbla with Incinerate. The cooldown is also very quick. Next is the skill Lightning Print, which adds a ton of magic damage, fire, and wind attack. It does consume SP, so make sure you have ways to recover your SP, such as potions or SP discharge. This is a skill I use all the time, and it's amazing for boosting damage. Definitely cast this before you attack. Next is the passive skill Lightning Spin. When the previous skill Lightning Print is active, the skill Charge Incinerator will also deal wind damage. I think it's important to mention this skill and the previous skill first before covering the Charge Incinerator skill. This adds wind attack, which is incredibly important for increasing damage. Next is the skill Charge Incinerator. This is the primary DPS skill for this character, and it will make it one of the best PvE classes in the game versus tough bosses. This scales with Incinerate and also with the wind and fire damage, so it can be very good for late game people since they can boost all of these attributes to get even more damage. You may have seen some people melting legend level monsters, but I'd like to say that even with 119% deposit and plenty of endgame gear and cards, attempting to solo legend bosses isn't as easy as you'd think. You'd likely still need a party and tanks to help you out. You'd also really need some very good MVP cards to be very competitive. As powerful as this skill is, one thing I really don't like about this skill is getting interrupted. It's similar to Photon Cannon for Lightbringer that can be interrupted mid-stream. For example, here I'm fighting Hillwind and get stunned out of the skill, which is super annoying. Also here I'm in Oracle, where King Clown is ruining my day with a last second stun. How rude. Next, you may have seen a lot of people using 2 MVP cards with Genos. First is the Dracula card for SP regen, and second is the Seed of Yggdrasil card for HP regen. When both cards are equipped, you'll have very high survivability. The HP regen is crazy, and you'll also never run out of SP, so you can keep casting this skill forever. However, although nice to have in many situations, these two cards aren't mandatory for playing this class. You can always eat potions or use auto pots or SP discharge to deal with this problem. In fact, for my solo legend runs where I did the highest damage, I used one Shell Chapet star card and one Shell Chapet card. Surviving doesn't mean you can burst down the boss quick enough before you succumb to skills that will insta-kill you if you don't kill it fast enough. So sure, you'll survive, but then you'll end up dying to something else that you cannot avoid. In addition to the Shell Chapet star card, you can also use the Abysmal Knight star card, which are nice free-to-play alternatives to those MVP cards. Next, I'd like to warn some people that your damage might be disappointing if you don't have some of the key gachas. The first is Wheel of Fortune 4-Leaf Clover, also known as Koi. This gives crit to your magic skills, which is a huge damage boost. You won't see crazy consistent damage without this headwear. Alternatively, you can use the Homestead of Snowy Owl so you can double dip on the wind and fire damage. However, Koi is still the best in slot for Genos. The other is the back item Encomious Movement, which also grants crit for Genos. This is also very hard to replace, so if you don't have this, you might be in some trouble. I'd say if you don't have any of these key head and back items, you will struggle to get high magic crit percentage, so do keep this in mind. Next is the passive skill Cyborg Enhancements. It's another skill that relies on strength and gives survivability. Next is the skill Search Eye. I use this all the time before attacking a boss and in the middle of a battle. Reducing magic damage reduction of enemies by 30% is quite good. In PvP, it also reveals targets that are hidden, so it's crazy good. This is definitely a solid skill for Genos. Next is the skill Movement Speed Plus though. The 9 meter range isn't game breaking, but what is funny is it resets the Rocket Punch skill. This is the Rocket Punch skill, which sucks a bunch of enemies within 5 meters and kills it. It looks like a black hole skill. Here I use Plusto and Rocket Punch together. I wish there was a potential to farm with this, but Plusto can't be put on the auto bar, and the cooldown is quite bad too. It would be funny if there was a new OP farming strategy using this. Next is the skill Magnetic Swirl. This is good if you're low on SP, but I personally don't like the HP consumption. If you're not using the Dracula and Seed combo, I think potions and SP discharge are sufficient. I've actually never used this skill in boss battles, and I could still survive without it. Next is the passive Quick Reflexes. This gives you fleet and crit defense. This is good for PvP when you evade attacks with Plusto. Next is the passive skill Firepower Upgrade. This is a highly conditional buff. It's not like you can kill yourself easily just to get the 600 second buff anyways. Also, escaping Death during remodel isn't easy either, so when you actually pull this off, I guess it could be a really nice buff temporarily, but don't count on it. Next is the weapon. Genos has his own weapon, which gives good properties. However, from all the videos I've seen, Genos all use Unlimited instead of this weapon, which is kinda sad since this weapon does look pretty cool. Before you buy this item or attempt to craft it, do try to find an Unlimited instead. In case you don't know what an Unlimited is, this is what it is, and this weapon has been around for a long time and has been used by various magic classes. Next, for my high deposit CBT account, here's my Genos build. Here's my gear, which is using the magic crit items. This isn't for survivability, it's for dealing damage for PvE. Once this class comes out, I'll go into more detail into this build. For now, this is just a quick overview. With this build, I have 31,000 magic attack, 53.5% magic penetration, 20% skill damage, 204% magic damage percentage, 76% magic damage increase, 192.5% ignore magic defense, 71% wind damage, and 93% fire damage. Attributes are strength, vitality, and the rest luck. None is put into int since I left it to the gear. People in my last livestream had suggested this build from their testing, which is good since balancing all these attributes can be difficult. For Adventure Handbook, I have 4,334 magic attack and 119% magic attack deposit. Next, how well does this Genos do? I can only really talk about this from a PvE perspective since I didn't have many people to test the PvP stuff on. For MVP hunting, Incinerate is great for low board MVPs. It can one-shot well and add a long range. Even if you can't one-shot, the cooldown is quite low so you can hit quite quickly again. Against high board MVPs, Charge Incinerator is really nice. Continuous damage is really good. This is also great against APOC MVPs, which are difficult to one-shot. If you run out of SP, against certain monsters that steal your SP like Seed, you can pop a potion and finish it off with Incinerate as well. Charge Incinerator is a bit slow, so if you're competing against burst classes like Wataru, Lightbringer, and Saitama, that will be a bit frustrating for you. For PvE, this class is going to be great against legend levels, so if you have good gear and deposits, you'll be very happy to show up high on the damage dealing list. Museum, Lost Isles, and Thanatos Tower is what I think Genos excels at. Next for Oracle, I find Charge Incinerator has too many ways to be disrupted, so it can be super frustrating. I wouldn't recommend it for Oracle if you're considered the primary DPS, since your damage can be cut off all of a sudden. The good thing is Charge Incinerator isn't affected by Sandstorm, so it can be quite good to still be dealing damage during this time. But what happens if your account isn't a whale account? Here I am with my other CBT account that has Genos as well. My gear on this account is also mediocre since I don't have the ancient equipment, I only have the old magic gear that came with this account. Sadly, I also don't have the magic crit gachas either. For my stats, I have 21,000 magic attack, 39% magic penetration, 29% skill damage, 152.2 magic damage percentage, 43% magic damage increase, 147.5% ignore magic defense, 37% wind damage, and 47% fire damage. For Adventure Handbook, I have 3086 magic attack and 46% magic attack deposit. Definitely a lot less than my previous account that I showed. As expected, in Legend runs, I can barely hurt the dragon. This is also caused by this account not having a lot of ignore magic defense and not having very high wind and fire damage as well. So Genos won't be able to save your Legend runs if you have mediocre gear. With this setup, you can still deal with Brave level pretty well, even though it can be a bit slow compared to some other classes. I think it's best to set your expectations based on your available gear and deposits. Don't expect any miracles. So the question is, will I get this class? Yes, but it's mostly because I love One Punch Man. Genos and Saitama are my favorite characters as well. I do have the magic crit items, but not enough magic gear and cards to create anything decent. My Genos would be worse than my low deposit CBT account, and my Novice Guardian can definitely take down the dragon much faster. Therefore, it is a for fun class with zero expectations that it's ever going to outdamage my Nogu. However, if I was a magic user, like an Arcane Master, Soulbinder, or Slayer main, this would have a lot of damage potential since I already have the gear and the buffs for this. I would 100% get this character since a lot of those cannot carry Legend runs, but now with Genos, you actually can. How do you find Genos? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe.